All right, should be recorded. So, what? I rewinded this to the 14th of November. That's a couple days ago. That's what? Tuesday? Let me check. Yeah, it's Tuesday the 14th, right? So, every morning, I usually do it closer to the open just because things always change, right? And I don't want to be making my watch list and then have it switch up on me right before the open and then scramble to do something different, right? So, first thing I would do, I would look at what the market's been doing the days prior. So, here's the hourly chart. So, look at Tesla. For the last 2 days, it's gone up 30 points. Is that something we want to be buying strength on? A stock that's gone up 30 points in a matter of days? Me personally, I don't. While I do think it should go higher, I'd rather buy it into weakness. Just so if I'm wrong, I don't get yanked for 5 points, right? Same thing with Nvidia. It has been on an uptrend for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 to 11 days of pretty much straight up price action. So I don't want to buy into strength. So what do? I come in here. When I'm making my watch list, I'm going to start with the daily and the hourly. Oh, don't tell me it's not going to load. So you're going to want to start with the daily and the hourly chart. So I'll go with this one here. So Tesla, I know I need a bounce, right? It's up so much, like we just said. So you don't want to just buy into strength and buy the high, because if you do and you're wrong, you're going to get yanked. So I look for rising support. First rising support is here, right? 230.7.6. So my first bounce spot is going to be 230.7 because that's where it's at right now. This spot will change on the new hour. So if I'm making this list for 9:30 to 10 a.m., after 10 a.m., all these spots are going to be different, which is fine. We find new ones. But after 10, you have to look for the new spot. If you try to trade the old spot, it's technically not support anymore, and it might just rip your face off and you're going to lose money. Okay, so my first bounce spot is here. Logically, the next one is 228, right? But if we lose these first two, do you really want to be buying the stock? Because now it's pulled 7 to 8 points off the high if you lose those two spots. So after there, I kind of want to reassess the situation, right? So then that process, the 5 minute when I'm in the pre-market, I really don't care because these lines change, you guessed it, every 5 minutes, right? Is this making sense so far? Somebody answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see it.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it
makes
is.
sense.
It makes sense.
Good. Okay. So I would go through the name and say, okay, I want to take a bounce on Tesla here. And then I would do the same process for all the other names. Luckily, this situation we chose, everything has been super strong. Like we said, Nvidia was in a giant uptrend. Let's see Microsoft. Does my chart load? Yes. Microsoft, giant uptrend. So daily, hourly. Why did I just lose all of my line? There it goes. Okay. Daily, hourly, everything's in a giant uptrend. You need bounces. You know you need bounces, right? So here's Microsoft on the daily chart. Took it out pre-market. So you would need to buy this high over 373 and 5 cents. But we don't want to buy strength like we just talked about, right? So the next best spot is 364.14. Why is that? Can somebody tell me why this is the best bounce spot?
Because the moving average
Because the moving average is showing a signal.
Yeah, moving average, and it's pointing upward. So an upward slope on your moving
that's
average
true.
Yes,
means it's
that's true.
stronger, right? So
Yes.
it's a strong name.
Yes.
We know it because look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It had 6 days in a row of positive price action. Had a rest day.
Yes, so we are still.
Yeah, so we are
7
still.
strong day. So
Yeah.
you know it's strong, right? So if this support fails,
Yes.
now you
Yes.
have 3 supports here in pretty much a 30-cent range. So you know odds are if this one fails, this one's going to work. So I would say, okay, 369 is a bounce area. If it fails, then 368 is a bounce area. Now, if they both fail, the stock is getting weak, and maybe you don't want to be buying it again until a daily bounce if all the hourlies are failing, right? But this is all
Yeah, that
situational.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes
Exactly.
sense.
But this is all situational. If the market is not in an upward cycle and we're in a downward cycle, we will be looking to short these things, not buy a bounce. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. Now, NVIDIA, right? Same process. We know it's strong. We've seen it. It's been strong. What do we want to do? It's had a bunch of green days. We don't want to buy strength. So we're going to find a bounce. Closest bounces. I don't personally bounce the top Bollinger Band just because hold on, let me mute him. Mute. Okay. Statistically, stocks are going to be within the Bollinger Bands 95% of the time. So if it's above the Bollinger Band, I don't want to bounce it because I know it should come back down. So my closest bounce, 493. After 493,
Okay, before you continue.
Okay,
Go
before
ahead.
you continue,
What's
I
up?
have a question.
If
If the candle is above the Bollinger Band, we shouldn't buy. We should wait for it to retrace back into the Bollinger Band before we can take an action.
Yes, but I don't buy it when it touches the Bollinger Band again because it's statistically gonna be inside of the Bollinger Bands 95% of the time. So yes, you could try to bounce it here,
Okay.
but it's smarter to let it come in deeper. Right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, for better entry.
Yeah, for a
Exactly,
better
better
entry.
So if it's up here, I want to wait until 493. And if that bounce fails, I want to wait until 490.30. And if that bounce fails, this is the last one. These two lines here, it's confluence. If this fails, I don't want to be buying the stock anymore because now it's down 10 points off of its high. That's not a good sign, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So I would say, okay, the bounce 493. Now let's find another name. Okay, Moto's here. He loves Apple, right? So here we go with Apple. Same situation. Uptrend. Just it's gone up 20 points in the last 10 days, which is huge for Apple. We don't want to buy strength once again, so we look for a bounce. First bounce up, 186, right? It's very similar.
Yeah.
Every situation
Yeah.
in this case scenario was the exact same. Everything's strong, you're looking for bounces. Now let me switch to date. Let's pick a random day. June 7th. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it wants to load up for us. Okay. Apple, Microsoft. Okay, so here we are on June 7th. What do you guys think about the situation? Do you want to be buying stocks? Do you
These are.
It's definitely not.
It's definitely an option, so we'll definitely be looking for a buy entry.
Well, I mean, it is an uptrend again. Look. So, we're in another uptrend for a long time. You know, Tesla's gone up 40 points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. It's gone up, 20%. So, we're in another situation where we're looking for bounces once again, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Same scenario. Unfortunately, here Tesla's already on the bounce, so you can't take it unless you're going to trade pre-market. But otherwise, now you're going to be buying it at 226 for it to go back higher. If 226 fails, you know your next supports. 223, 220, right? But let's say the stock is weak, right? Now, if the stock is weak and we lose supports, you want to be shorting these stocks. So here, I'm gonna find days where stocks were weak. Give me 1 second. Does anybody have any questions so far? Anybody? Moto, Ark, Israel, Fearless.
Yes, I actually have a lot of questions. So, I found this Discord by going to Instagram. I was just searching for like ways to make money. Now, I have no idea how stocks work at all, and there were any videos where I can watch, know what points are, understand what bounces
Yeah,
are.
so
In depth.
yeah,
In depth.
so we offer a bunch of educational stuff for our premium members. You just join the server, you're on the free side. So 90% of the server you don't see. All the useful information is behind like a paywall, right? So right now I'm just making this for free for everybody, just so you can kind of get your feet wet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and how much?
Yeah, and how much is the premium server?
So weekly it's like 25, monthly it's 75. Just like very affordable server where everybody can come in and make money, really. January,
Alright.
February, March,
Alright.
April, May, June, July, August. So September. Have you traded before? I think you answered that.
No, I haven't done anything.
No, I haven't done anything when it
Okay.
comes to trading.
You're brand
I'm
new.
about to graduate high school now.
Hello.
About
Yeah.
to, hello.
So like I haven't traded at all.
So like I haven't traded at all. I'm about to graduate high school and I want to make money. I don't think college is the best route for me.
I honestly I agree. It's not. But are you 18?
No, I'm 17.
No, I'm
Turn 18.
17.
July.
July.
That's the one thing. You would need your parents to help you make an account. You think they would do that?
Yeah,
she's Caribbean, so
no.
no, I don't think so because she wants me to go to college.
Huh. So that's the one hurdle you would have because if you're not 18, you can't really create your own account.
You cannot make a brokerage account if you're not 18.
That's the one issue. Now, if you can find your way around that,
Starting a college fund.
you said what?
Just tell your mom you're starting a college fund and a brokerage.
That's true. Maybe she agrees, right? But either way, it's never.
I will
too early
suggest him to
learning.
start with paper
What'd you say?
trading. I will suggest him to start with paper trading since he's learning to trade and this
Yeah,
is
that's
first
true. You
time.
could paper trade while you're waiting and trying to, save up some money just so when you start,
And give some
get
experience.
some experience. And then, like I said, it's never too early to learn. But either way, right? Here's a different situation where stocks weren't as strong. So Tesla, came down, bounced, now it found resistance, and it's starting to turn back down, right? So it's the opposite scenario as before. Instead of looking for bounces or breakouts, we want to be looking for rejections and breakdowns. So on Tesla, possible rejections, maybe this blue line, 268.75. And it's kind of lining up with this one at 268.85. So possibly when the stock comes up into here, we want to be buying puts or going short because we think it's going to go lower, right? Now that trade, it's valid, but it's a bit riskier because if you try a rejection, you can get blown out pretty quickly. So what I would do, I would say, hey, we want to short this stock on a second entry below here. So basically when it loses the previous day's low, we want to be entering our shorts because if we do, as you see, there's no support on the daily, on the hourly, and the closest support on the daily is about 3 to 4 points away. So that's where we want to take our trade. Under here, because there's no support, and the next one's 3 points away. So
you take it after we lose the previous day's low to ensure a more secure entry,
we
correct?
do it on a second entry essentially. So once we're losing that low, and it's proven to be weak, we know we have 3 points of room before the next support. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So we will do that same process for all the names, but not every stock is a short. In this scenario, Microsoft, it's the same situation. If it loses yesterday's low, we're going to sit here, we're going to say, okay, we're going to short it. But let's say it doesn't. Let's say Microsoft starts to get strong again, right? Say it's going upwards. It has a bunch of resistance, but let's say we're an hour into the day and Microsoft is above its resistances. Can we go long on the name? Because it'll be above 333, right? And now we're back to open air, aren't we? So there's both sides.
Exactly.
We can continue.
We can continue.
So there's two sides to every single trade. We can do the short side, the long side, whatever the market gives us. We really don't care. Whichever side it is where we're going to take it. So back to Nvidia. As you know, it's one of my favorite stocks to trade. So back to Nvidia. There's some support here. It's in the middle. I really wouldn't be looking to take a trade on it until it pretty much lost 429 because there's a daily support here. So a second entry below there, this thing has room to 408. 20 points of room. And then what? 420 is where it bounced before. It has 8 points minimum, 20 points maximum. And if we can extract, 3 to 4 points, we have a really good day on our hands. So under the pre-market low, second entry is where I would be looking to short the stock. What's another stock? Meta. I personally don't like Meta, but so here we are. This stock is doing differently than the other ones. The other ones are kind of going down. This one's holding up a bit, and it has room to the upside. So what I would say is, hey, we're going to look to buy it on a second entry over the previous day's high. Because if we look over the previous day's high, the closest resistance is $1 away. And this is going to move up every hour, but it's $1 away. And on the daily, it's $6 away, $5 away. That's plenty of room for us to make some money. So we're pretty much just looking for space in between our resistances and supports. And that's where we want to take our trades. So here, let's do one more day. Let's do April 5th. See what happens. 5th. Where is this right? April 5th. April 5th. Okay, so here we go. Now we're in a pretty nasty downtrend. You know, we just rejected off of 410 on Tesla. We're down 20 points from there. What do we want to do? Somebody tell me. Anybody? No? Okay. I'll do it. So...
Oh, my bad. I was muted. One more time. What was the question?
So, on this chart on Tesla, given the situation, what do we want to do? We see we rejected, you know, almost 20 points in 2 days. Do we want to take more short side? Do we want to try to find a bounce? What do you think?
You should try to find a bounce. As it's been strongly pushing down.
So, when it's strongly pushing down, you want to buy it? What do you think? There's no wrong answer. I just want to see what you think. So, what's up, Beast? So, what I would say here is, okay, I know we're in a downtrend, but now we're coming into some major supports. The 50-day moving average, which is my blue line, major support, and I know that, right? This is another support. What is this? The 100. Major support. So, we're coming into some pretty heavy supports here. I would look for a bounce, like Israel said. I would look for a bounce, but if it fails, I know we're going to start getting some short side action. So I'll give it one chance, and if it doesn't work, we're going to start looking short side below, 189, which is also the hourly bottom bully. Or we can always look for a rejection if it comes up. Maybe the 193 area, just because there's some support in here. 193, resistance. Or even around 194 because the daily, 20? I want to say? Daily 10. What else? What other stocks we want to look at? Let's look at AMD. It's weak. As you can see, the hourly came out to 102, starting to come down. It really would break down under 92, 90, 93. But it has support in the 93, 20s, and 30s. So on a second entry below this 93, it has a lot of room down, technically to 86.6. So that's what I would be looking for. I would say 93, second entry short. Because then you're...
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Is that where you'll be looking for support? A bounce back into structure.
So support, that's when we're looking for a bounce. But on a trade like this, it'll be already losing the support. Under 92, there's no more support. And this is the last spot it was. So, really 93. So under 93, you would anticipate it coming back down, right? But let's say you're wrong. Let's say you enter your short trade and it starts to find buyers. You can just exit if it gets back above like 93.50 or 94 because then it's back above its support. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
That
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because if you don't...
Good.
Yeah.
Let's do one more. What stock do you guys want to see? Last one.
Netflix.
What?
Netflix.
I said it's fine, but if it wants to do Netflix, that's fine.
So here's Netflix and here's SPY. So SPY's a little bit different. It's a little bit tricky. There's so many more participants. So you kind of got to factor in a lot more variables. But it does follow the system we trade, which is good. Netflix, I personally hate it, but we'll do it anyway. So, we looked at the charts. Most other names were weak at this date and time. Netflix, obviously, is very, very strong. So, like always, we're looking for a bounce because it is almost at the top Bollinger Band, but it does have support, daily support at 342. And then it has, a couple hourlies at 345, 344. So you would need to give this trade maybe 2 points of risk. Yeah, you need to give it a little bit of risk just because there's so many supports. You don't want to get shaken out. And Netflix is a trickier stock, right? So what I would do personally, I wouldn't take the trade. But let's say you wanted to. I would give it 2 points of risk. I would buy it at 45 because this is a support and it is valid. I'll buy it at 45 and give it risk to about 43. But the problem is there's another daily support. You don't want to stop out into support. So that's why this trade is more difficult where I wouldn't take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because let's say you don't take it, right? And it does bounce here and it starts coming back up. At that point, when it holds the daily support, you could just buy it as a second entry over the high at 350. So 350 second entry long. So you don't have to get the bounce. You could wait for the bounce to happen, find support, and then we go higher. Okay?
Exactly.
Okay,
That would be a perfect valid trade.
And now here we are on SPY. Like I said, it is a little bit different. There's more factors at play on SPY. But the chart's the same. Let's see what happened. It's been strong, 390, 395, all the way up to 410. So we know the stock is strong. We know, hey, it had one red day, which is fine. It's allowed to rest. So I want to buy daily support. I want to buy 406.80, 406.70. That's where I want to be buying at. I'm not going to try these little supports on SPY just because there's so many participants. I want to wait for a daily level because once a daily level fails, you have no reason to stay in the trade. There's 5 points of downside under it. So I would either try this bounce, but if it failed, I would say, okay, it's going to be a second entry short. So I would short the low because it has a lot more room, right?
Okay, so you start from the daily. You look at the daily support, and if it fails
support, that means it's weak.
Right?
So when something's failing support, you want to short it.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Because if it fails the support at 406.80, the next support is 405.40. That's a point and a half almost. The next support's another point. The next support's another point. So that's what I would do if it failed support. So let's see what happened. Instead of 925, let's go to 1125. See what happened. Did it fail support? Yes, it did. Sorry. Failed support, and we came down, right? So it's perfect. Like we said, once it fails support, you want to enter on a second entry. So let's see what would have happened. Came up. So this was some support here. And then once it failed it take a second entry, there you go. You got a point and a half right there. Perfect, right? That's exactly what you do. Now Netflix, right? We're talking about a bounce and I wouldn't take it. So why didn't I want to take it? Because there was too many in one spot and you have to give it a lot of risk. You would have been buying 45 and risking to 43. Yeah, 43. So it would have happened pretty much at the open. It would have gotten you. So it bounced here. 42.75, right? So if you buy 45, here's the bounce. It only bounced up a point, and then you still lose, right? But now,
it's likely to follow it, yeah.
But now it is getting closer to more major supports. Here's the 10, and here's the 50. They're both very major levels. So you just have to be aware of all your levels to be safe. So let's see what happened later.
Of the major level on the daily.
Major level on the daily. Okay. So let's see what happened at 225. What did Netflix end up doing? See, did it bounce back or not? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so it ended up trading into 336. 336.25. That's almost that's a point away from the 10. So it didn't really give the trade unless you were willing to buy it when it reclaimed this Bollinger Band. Because like we said, 95% of the time it's going to be inside the Bollinger Bands, right? So on a reclaim, you can buy it and risk the low, but that's another 2 points. I don't know if you're willing to risk 2 points. Usually I'm not. I like to do 1 point max risk just to manage my risk all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Anybody have any questions?
I have one
question, and it's based on a psychological aspect. Like, if in a winning trade, like taking trades early when you know that it's likely to hit that take profit, like how do you deal with that? Probably you are more experienced than that. So what's the advice you will give?
So
How do you deal with that
So if
emotion
I'm in a trade,
in particular?
and I think it's gonna hit my target, obviously I think it is, but there's no guarantee that it does, right? So what I'll
Yeah.
do is I'll trim my position. So let's say, you know what? Let's see if I can put this to yesterday. November, I can't. That sucks. That sucks. So let's say, 1 second. All these charts are gonna switch over. Tesla, Nvidia. I'm gonna try to give you an example. Actually, I can take this off. Wait. Okay. So these are updated charts. This is where things should currently be. 234. Yeah. So I'm going to show you guys a bounce. I had called this out for the premium chat. So it was not yesterday, 2 days ago. Yeah, here. So around this 226.50, I had said, yo, this is the risky spot if you think Tesla's going to go higher, because it was a daily support, right? It was daily support on this day. Sorry, this day. So I said, okay, let's see if we want to buy it. If I was to buy this trade at like 226.50, which is in here, my first trim has to be here, 228.68, right? That's my trim. Let's say I'm trimming there.
Exactly.
Because I took this trade based on a daily level. So if I'm taking it out based on a daily level, I need to trade it based on the daily chart. So technically my target should be 230. Okay? So yes, while I may think it's going to get to 230, I can't ignore all these resistances in the way of 230. You can't. Because if you're ignoring your resistance, what is on your chart for? That's not how you trade, right? So if I'm buying it here, I need to trim on the 5-minute resistance, 227.30. So I make almost a point. I need to trim again around this 228 area, 228, 228.50, and then the rest I can hold it to my 230. But you can't just hold your entire position because you think it's going to hit your take profit. Because if it doesn't, you give back all the gains, which is silly because trading's difficult enough. We need to make sure we secure some money when we have it, right?
Exactly. So the
best way to go about it is to trim profit
Yep.
as the trade goes in
you
your
have
favor.
to, because trading's tough enough. When you have money in your hands, don't just let it turn around. Don't, because that's some of the most deflating things you can do as a trader. Like let's say you're a beginner and you're trading, you're making money some days you're losing, because every day, people lose sometimes, right? Obviously. If you have a trade that's up $100 and then you let that trade come back to zero and you get out the trade, now you've cost yourself $100. Let's say you lose the next trade now. Let's say you lose $100 on the next trade. That's a $200 swing in your account balance for no reason. There was no reason your trade was up a decent amount and you made nothing from it. There's no reason to ever do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, if the trade's up 10 cents, I can't tell you to sell. But if the trade's up a decent amount where, you're looking at it and you're feeling good, take some off. It's just the smartest way, because your job is to grow your account. Your job's not to be a superhero, it's to grow your account.